You've all waited weeks, months, nay, years for this answer to the greatest question of all time. What is Moo's HUD and Config? I'll have a link in the description, but I use Comanglia's high frames config, and I use OxideHud. Welcome to the Q&A. I'm gonna just go through as many questions as I can and answer them in a reasonable amount of time. Right now I'm sick, so that'll explain my congested sounding voice. So let's get into it. Some other people wanted to know what my sensitivity and DPI was, and also if I had any custom binds and hit sounds. So I'll just tell you that. I currently play on the sensitivity of 2.5 with a DPI of 950, and I use my side mouse button to undisguise. I have an undisguise bind, and my hit sound is, if you know the old meme of the Denny's commercial with Nanopus, yeah, I just use clips from that. Now, a lot of people want my opinions on the new projected spy nerfs and quote-unquote buffs, so I'll just talk about that. For the ambassador, I don't mind if it's nerfed, but RNG is really not the way to go, because if you have a wide circle where the bullet spread is, you could be off target and potentially hit a lucky shot, but if you're on target, that same shot could miss. So it really just lowers the skill ceiling, and you'll still be able to hit lucky headshots, but it'll just be luck instead of skill. But it shouldn't happen very often, but it still will happen, and it'll make people mad, probably even more. With the DR, I think it should be nerfed. I don't really like the spammability and the brainless playstyle of it, but if they nerf it so that it doesn't get any ammo refill, they need to let the recharge be faster so that it's not completely useless. With the eternal reward, I honestly don't like the changes. I just want a silent decloak with it. That's all I want. I'd use it so much more, because that would make it really the silent killer and make its other properties really useful. Make it like the old Saharan set, but without needing the Saharan set. Because if you really think about it, having that one disguise really isn't that important in some scenarios, except if you're dealing with a sentry, but then having 50% less cloak won't really let you have enough time to get into position unless there are a million ammo packs around. So it really just doesn't help you out at all. And with the Diamondback, the fact that they didn't say they're going to nerf it is worrying. I hope they do, because it's basically like the Flog, where you get crits for doing your job as a spy. You know, as a Pyro, you just flame people, you deal damage, and you get easy crits. And as a spy, you get a backstab or sap stuff, and you get free crits. So it's literally broken, and you only have to land body shots, not even headshots. I don't know why they haven't tried to nerf it yet. Now, a lot of you were asking a very deep philosophical question, so here it is. Where's my GTA? You know, this is a really great question. I'll have to think about this one. But somebody in the comments, I think his name was Dream, he had a great response. And his response was, what is GTA? Just think about that for a moment. That's pretty deep stuff, man. Deep stuff. Deep philosophical stuff. Deep. Yeah. Just think about it. Where is it? What is it even? Who knows? We may not ever know. Alright, now to some specific questions. Basic asks how valuable is having good ping to aspire any class in TF2. Well, for any class, having 80 ping or less is preferable. It's the most playable. If you have stuff over that, it gets more tricky to play, even with some hit scan, just because things are delayed. But with Spy, it's really important because you really need to be able to react quickly. So having 80 ping or less is the easiest way to play. But I've seen people play with a high ping before, but it's just really difficult because the information you get is so delayed. But if you do have very high ping as a spy, as you've seen from some of my clips in my videos, you can get some pretty weird face stabs, and it's pretty funny, I'm gonna be honest, but it's just hilarious. I'll show an example. Yanis Horna, aka Festive Obeliscus, asks, if you could be any shark at all, what Trickstab would be able to Trickstab God? You know, I'd have to say that the only Trickstab that could Trickstab God, if I was a shark, would have to be the Moonwalky Circly Squared Stab, aka Latent Tendencies. It has two versions, the client side and server side, also known as the LTCS or the LTSS. So go look up that stab. You can be able to Trickstab God if you're ever a shark. Yeah, thanks for watching my tutorial. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, that bell, that bell, ding, 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 let you know when the next video's out. And thanks for watching my video. Next question, here we go. A few of you were asking if I'd ever make a Trickstab guide or just talk about different Trickstabs, and I might in the future. It might take the form of more of a commentary about movement, because that's really all Trickstabs are. Movement paired with psychology, and that just, after a while, it becomes part of your intuition into recognizing how people move and how you can move. So I might talk about that, but the traditional Trickstab guide, I won't really do anything like that because everything's already explained on the base level, but I might do a commentary on my personal tactics and thoughts on different Trickstabs, so we'll see. Might take another 2 years, but I might get around to it. A few of you want to know what my dog looks like, the Doggo face reveal, so I'm going to show a video of my dog. Mr. TM asks, what is my mindset for each of the watches? Okay, so obviously it depends on what I want to get done. With the Dead Ringer, usually I'm just kind of frag hunting a bit, but as I play the objective, but I'm more aggressive in going for Trickstabs and all that, and being able to run into a situation and knowing I can get out scot-free is useful, especially against bad players who don't know how to turn around, and I can abuse that. But if I have to play against better players, I turn to the Invis because it's just objectively better. You can do your job as a spy much better and get those key picks and do your job, and also just get normal frags better because you can be anywhere at any time. So that's, I don't know, my mindset, it'd take a whole video to explain that. It just depends on what I want to do. But Invis usually is just for getting the job done. Dead Ringer usually just for kind of frag hunting a bit. Trickstabs more focused. And Cloak and Dagger is usually if I really need to spend time waiting for the right moment, or if I want to calm in pubs. No, I'm not doing that. Dimmy asks, where's the Q&A? Puzzle Master 3426 asks, how to make a casserole with mushrooms and onions, please. Please respond soon. People are getting hungry. Oh man, dude, it's been like 2 weeks already. Hold on. Casserole with mushrooms and onions. Okay, here we go. You ready? Okay, food.com recipe. I'll put the link in the description. Okay, here we go. I'll read the instructions. So first, you need a pound of Vidalia onions, sliced and separated into rings, about 2 large ones, okay? 4 ounces of sliced fresh mushrooms, 2 teaspoons of butter, 1 cup of whipping cream, 1 large egg, 3/4 teaspoons of salt, a half cup shredded sharp cheddar cheese, a half teaspoon of paprika. Alright, you ready? Here are the directions. Saute the onions and mushrooms in butter until just tender, about 10 minutes. Place onions and mushrooms in a lightly greased 8-inch square baking dish. Whisk together whipping cream, egg, and salt. Pour over onion and mushroom mixture. Bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 minutes. You got that? 25. 25. No more, no less. Add cheese and sprinkle with paprika and bake until the cheese melts. Boom. There you go. Feed your family. Feed your kids. Feed the people. I hope they're really hungry. You might want to make a lot because it's been 2 weeks, but I'm glad I can help you out this time. Caffeinated asks, will I play CS with him? A lot of people had questions about how I trained for Spy, or how I practiced Trickstabs or movement, if I watched any videos or what kind of practice techniques I used. So I'll briefly discuss that. Really the best way to train for Spy. There are certain things you can get down to muscle memory, like stair stab timing and TR walkway, just to get used to that, and getting used to side stabbing in there. But in terms of training, it's all just getting experience playing the game, watching videos, trying to understand the movement of the spies you're watching and how that's affecting the players and why they do what they do, and then trying to take that principle and apply it to your own game. And after each mistake, not blaming the other person, but blaming yourself, meaning you have to analyze your own mistakes. I recommend recording demos and looking back in order to figure out how you could have gotten a stab or played the situation better. And after doing that for a long period of time, you start increasing in skill and in knowledge and in game sense, and you'll just increasingly get better if you continue to do that. That's how I got so good so fast. And I also had help from some mentors, and I watched a lot of videos to learn from. So yeah, and that goes the same for movement. But in terms of mechanically with movement, a lot of that's just experience and practice. Bhopping actually does help, because you get used to strafing around and also just moving around the map in unorthodox ways and trying to get to places as quickly as possible, cutting corners and making weird jumps. That helps you practice your movement as well. A few people seem to think my voice is addictive or sexy, as they put it, and I don't know where that comes from, but maybe that's since you think I'm so good, you automatically like the sound of my voice because I am someone you look up to in this game. That certainly has an effect, but I guess I really don't know why my voice sounds so good to you, but you know, at least it doesn't sound bad, so I'm happy. Clippy has quite a few questions here. His first one is, where did I learn to surf? I first got exposed to surfing through Sibo's videos where he did surfing, and then I wanted to try to do it. But then after a while I met Maestro and I saw his video, It's Raining Spies, and I really wanted to surf, and then I learned a bit from him. Did I have a video where I got inspiration from? Not a specific video, but I remember the first spy videos I watched were from Zagon, Stabby, and Slurgi, and their mindset guides and Trickstab tutorials and commentaries inspired me to pick up the class. Do I think I have more room for improvement as a spy? Always. I make some pretty dumb choices still, and I can definitely get better at Trickstabs, even better than I am now. Have I ever had a spy mentor? Yes, I would say I've had two people I've spent the most time with would be Theoretical Spy, more in terms of circle strafing and that jazz. And then Maestro helped me learn how to surf, and I've spent some in-game time with him learning with that. But for most of my other stuff, and even with surfing, I kind of experimented on my own and learned from videos, so really the age of the spy mentor has kind of died out because of YouTube, but it's still useful to have somebody that you work with to improve on certain aspects of your game. CoolYoX_X asks, are you actually this good at TF2, or do you just pick the good parts of your recording and put it in the videos? Well, I'd like to think I'm actually this good at TF2, but I'm not the best. I'm not incredible. I still have a lot of room to improve. Who doesn't put the good clips in like a good clips montage? It's kind of what everyone does. Mr. British from British TF2 asked, why you so bad? Play plat, then I'll take you seriously, you noob. You know, words hurt, man. Words hurt. Don't be like that. Why you gotta be like that, man? I'm gonna quit this game. I'm gonna play Overwatch. Sorry. Just trying to get over that last question. Words cut deep, man. Oh. To next question, very relevant. Why don't I play Highlander? I don't normally think I'd have the time to have a set schedule around playing video games, because I normally play just whenever I can. So that's the biggest reason why. Otherwise, I'd probably play. Shaka Lemus asks, how annoyed do I get when players are too bad to be trickstabbed? And I think someone else also asked, how do I deal with fail stabbing 80% of the time? And I'll say, it's really annoying, but I have a great stress relieving technique for you, and I'm going to show you right now. So if you have an overhead fan, you want to go over and turn it up to the highest setting. Let's wait for that to turn on real quick. So once it turns on all the way, you can hear it going in the background. You want to just like, you want to get real close, and then, so once you're underneath, you just want to stick your head up there, and make sure you aim for the back of the head. And then once you wake up, you'll have no recollection of the fact. Let's turn the fan off now. Ah, goodness, that hurt. Oh, yeah, that's Strafes leaving tactics with Moo. Okay, next question. Tickle asked, are you planning to make videos with other YouTubers? I mean, if I got popular, maybe, but I don't think that's going to end up happening, to be honest. And Rebelus asks, why did I choose Moo, as my username? Is there a story behind it? There is a story behind it. It's actually, I don't know, it might be funny, it might be lame, but essentially one day as I was playing TF2, I was getting really annoyed, and I decided to rename my username to something that would just make me laugh every time that I looked at it. And so I thought for a while, and I just thought of a cow, and I was like, well, cow's not very funny, what about just Moo? And then I just named myself Moo. I first put an exclamation mark after it, and then later turned it to a question mark because I found that to be more funny. And now that I'm semi-popular or known on YouTube as Moo, I am stuck with it. So I guess I'll have to like it now. And the reason I kind of don't like it these days is because if I ever tell my friends or other people that I have a YouTube channel and they ask what it's called, it's just a lot of explanation and it kind of just is awkward, I'm going to be completely honest. And having people call you Moo, it's just kind of weird, I'm going to be honest about that. Chewy Bucka asks, what's my favorite spy knife? The kunai right now. What's my second most played class? Soldier. How many hours do I have total? I mean, I have 2,200 hours based on Steam, but that's just how long the game's been running. How many hours do I have on Spy in all the classes? I won't go through all of it, but current logged hours, I think I have like almost 750 Spy hours. Then second most is around 150 Soldier hours. But I did play the game before, and I had a stats reset because I didn't like my trade server and AFK server stats where I had like 800 points on engineer. So I decided to reset my stats, and that was before I figured out people really focused a lot on hours. So I might have almost 1,000 hours on Spy, but I actually don't know. I'd say 1,000 is close. Alright, USSH asks about basically having good streaks and bad streaks. Basically, I do have that. That happens to me sometimes. I'm fairly consistent these days in terms of doing well. Some days I'll have really good days, but some days I'll just have really bad days where everything doesn't work. If you saw that one stream that I ended up titling, "What is this game?" that was one of those days. So that partly has to do with me being too tired or not eating well, or just, you know, there are other factors that play into that. So I recommend, if you want to be consistent, to actually have a fairly healthy lifestyle. Arno SFM asks if I think about circle strafe stabs before I go for them, or is it more just intuition? And at this point, well, for any sort of trick stab or any new thing, you really need to think about what you're doing and analyzing and finding that recognition, knowing when to go for the stab before you try it. You won't learn if you don't do it like that at first. But I still have room to work on with circle strafes, but these days I kind of stopped caring and I just kind of go for them by intuition. And I don't get them a lot, but I still do. Here's an interesting question from Van Darkholm. What impact do you think Slurgi had on the community, and how did he affect you as a spy? This is actually a really good question. I think Slurgi had a huge effect on the spy community and really taught people trick stabs well. Whether or not people actually used his information for the better, but there is a huge impact, whether for better or for worse, in terms of how people focused on playing spy in pubs, at least. But I thought he had a good benefit. He had a good impact, at least for me. He affected me a lot. Maybe try and go for trick stabs more, taught me how to think through playing spy and thinking about other people's reactions and anticipations as I make my plan for either a trick stab or for a spy play. So I learned a lot about that, and especially with movement. Slurgi was the key factor for me learning movement. Delta asks, out of all the spy mains and spy main YouTubers, which one would you want to fight against and why? I've already fought a bit against Slurgi, so I'll keep him out of this, but I've never played with Mr. Paladin or Source Danger. I think it'd be funny to go up against them in like a match or a casual match or something, just to see how they'd react to me. But, you know, at least they kind of do stuff with the spy community. It's a little bit better than people who are better or more knowledgeable with spy kind of not uploading often. So I mean, if we want to combat anything that we feel is wrong with how they teach or how they play, we should make our own videos to explain the correct way or a better way, shouldn't we? And now for the final question, probably one of the most important questions. Am I a weeaboo? The answer is no. It's just no. I don't watch anime. I've watched it like once with a friend who forced me to watch Naruto. But I will say Kakashi Sensei is my hero. His log substitution trick, phenomenal. Every time, works every time, you know. And that concludes the Q&A. Wow, this is ridiculously long. There were a lot of questions. I actually tried to answer most of them. Sorry if I didn't answer your question. Don't be offended. Don't be easily triggered. That's some good life advice in general anyways. Have a nice day, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out.